Shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did?
Whoopi thinks that's pretty much how black folks are treated in America. You absolute disgrace of a human being, Whoopi, to show absolutely no regard for the Iranian women who risk their lives to challenge the Islamist government, to minimise their struggle and compare it to your fevered dreams about oppression in America in 2025.
Bill Maher has taken another swipe at the Democrats for pushing policies that cost them last November's elections. It's starting to feel like a curse, as the Dems can't seem to promote their agenda without leaning on virtue signaling and racial identity, an approach Maher calls outdated and alienating. So, he dropped a set of truth bombs sure to send the Dems into a tailspin. If you love fiery political commentary, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. As you already know, where there's absurdity, there's Whoopi Goldberg and The View. These ladies are the high priestesses of woke nonsense, the same nonsense that helped tank the Dems in the last election. So when Maher dropped his truth bombs, they were among the first to lose their minds. Check this out.
In the Wall Street Journal claims that the shift to the right in this election reveals that Americans view themselves as belonging to a particular economic class more than their race and gender. And Bill Maher said it's not the only thing Democrats got wrong. Take a look.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did?
Evisceration sent the Democrats and the woke mob into full-blown meltdown mode. You could almost hear the screeching from across the country. The fact that one of their own, an old-school liberal like Emma, keeps torching their sacred cows and calling out their delusions is too much for them to handle. They didn't see it coming, and they certainly couldn't stomach it. Whoopi Goldberg and her coven on The View weren't about to let it slide. They went into full revenge mode, scrambling to launch a counteroffensive like their reputations depended on it. Their response predictable, performative, and painfully out of touch. But hey, that's what happens when you trade reason for outrage. Take a look.
Racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
You see why so many pundits are now predicting that the Democrats might be heading for political extinction. It's because of tone-deaf statements like this. Bill Maher didn't miss the mark. His observations are dead on. While Americans were grappling with soaring inflation, a crumbling border, and rising crime in their neighborhoods, what were the Democrats doing? Pushing gender pronouns in schools, renaming streets after activists, and obsessing over microaggressions on college campuses. Instead of focusing on gas prices, jobs, or national security, they were busy preaching about lived experiences and systemic whiteness. It's like they forgot who they are supposed to represent. Emma is simply holding up a mirror. And what they see is so ugly they want to smash the mirror instead of fixing the problem. If the Democrats keep choosing ideology over practicality, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose relevance. And the worst part, they still don't get it. Well, the meltdown continues.
And I got my popcorn. I don't know why people did what they did. I see all these reasons, and so, okay, time will tell. But what do y'all think?
I just, I know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, but it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't tell you that it exists. And, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris.
You can practically feel the tension bubbling in Sunani Hostin's voice as she desperately tries to counter Maher's arguments. It's the kind of defensive tone you get when someone knows they are losing ground. Let's get something straight. Bill Maher never said racism or misogyny don't exist. Not once, nor did his arguments even remotely suggest that. What he did say, and what clearly hit a nerve, is that the Democrats' obsession with viewing every issue through the lens of race, gender, and identity politics is what's driving voters away. And he's right. Instead of building unity, they are slicing the electorate into victim categories. But you know how these woke banshees operate. Facts are threats, and disagreement is violence. They never back down, even when they are cornered by truth. So Sonny, rather than engage with Maher's points, resorts to emotional spin and misrepresentation, because when logic fails, outrage is the only card they have left. Meanwhile, Maher doubled down on his initial stance and even suggested that the view be taken off our screens.
What do you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity, and a second good step would be we got to do something about The View.
Maher took the attacks up a notch by directly calling on the Democrats to do something about The View, arguing that the show is doing more harm than good to the party's image. According to him, the women on that panel are not just out of touch, they are actively worsening the party's chances with their endless virtue signaling and cartoonish takes on serious issues. Maher even gave credit to the New York Times for dialing back its woke extremism and slowly returning to a more common-sense centrist position. He expressed hope that the Democratic Party would follow suit. But The View, they are having none of it. The hosts remain stubbornly glued to their echo chamber, championing narratives that alienate moderates and independents. It's as if The View is actively undoing any progress the Democrats have made in rebranding themselves since the start of the year, dragging the party back into the abyss of performative politics. Now, for those of you asking why Bill Maher mocked Whoopi Goldberg, watch this clip where Whoopi claims that Iranian women are having a better time than blacks in the U.S.
Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is 2 days, 2025, is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say.
No, arguing that the show is doing more harm than good to the party's image. According to him, the women on that panel are not just out of touch. They're actively worsening the party's chances with their endless virtue signaling and cartoonish takes on serious issues. Maher even gave credit to the New York Times for dialing
dead in the face. In the U.S., women have the freedom to drive, own property, dress how they want, vote, run for office, and speak out without fear of imprisonment or execution. In Iran, women are beaten in the streets for not wearing a hijab properly. Gay people are tortured or executed simply for existing. And yet, Whoopi genuinely believes this level of barbarism is somehow comparable to life in America. It's insulting not just to logic, but to the brave Iranian women fighting real oppression. This kind of delusional moral equivalence is exactly why people are tuning The View out. Now watch as Sky News' Rita Panahi tortures Whoopi Goldberg for her absurd take.
Yes, Whoopi thinks it's the same. She thinks America and Iran are the same. The human rights abuses are the same. The fact that more than 90 million people are oppressed in Iran, and women doubly so, systematically subjugated by a brutal regime, she thinks that's the same as America. That is the modern left, folks. Dumb, dishonest, and dangerously delusional.
Yep, Panahi couldn't have said it better. The woke left is dangerously delusional and completely out of touch with reality. They've built an ideological fortress so thick that they can't hear or refuse to hear any voices outside their echo chamber. And that's the tragedy. They won't listen to reason, facts, or even the very voters they claim to represent. Instead, they double down on the same failed strategies, convinced that moral posturing is a substitute for policy. Even as their polling numbers plummet and their grip on power weakens, they stay the course, blaming everyone but themselves. It's like they've forgotten the age-old saying, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. But the woke left, they are not just digging. They are building tunnels, installing lights, and calling it progress. Until they snap out of this ideological trance, they'll continue dragging their party and the country into deeper chaos, one misguided cause at a time.
That's why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good. So that's why I said you weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Not if you're black. Really? So crime happening in America, a black person killing another black person, for example, for which the perpetrator will be punished, is the same in Whoopi's warped mind as the state killing you because you're a minority, because you're gay or an infidel.
Yep, Panahi. That's exactly how the woke virus warps the minds of its adherents. It shuts down logic, critical thinking, and basic common sense. They become so consumed by ideological purity that they can't even recognize how ridiculous they sound. But here's where it gets interesting. They actually believe they're dropping truth bombs and making bold, profound statements. But to the rest of us, it's just noise, loud, obnoxious, and detached from reality. They are like people high on their own supply, intoxicated by virtue signaling and self-righteousness. Every take they deliver is led in outrage, but devoid of substance. They confuse feelings for facts and hashtags for policy. And instead of engaging in honest debate, they shame and cancel anyone who challenges their worldview. It's not enlightenment, it's indoctrination. Until they snap out of it, they'll keep mistaking absurdity for wisdom and continue driving rational people further away from the very causes they claim to champion.
Let me be clear. The Iranian regime will hang you from a crane in the public square for crimes like blasphemy, witchcraft, homosexuality, and of course, if you dare show any dissent, if you challenge the brutal regime. Whoopi thinks that's pretty much how black folks are treated in America. You absolute disgrace of a human being, Whoopi, to show absolutely no regard for the Iranian women who risk their lives to challenge the Islamist government, to minimize their struggle and compare it to your fever dreams about oppression in America in 2025.
Whoopi lives in the United States, a country where freedom of speech is protected by law, where you can openly dissent, criticize, and even insult your president without fear of imprisonment or retaliation. And she's taken full advantage of that, right? Time and again, Whoopi has publicly slammed and ridiculed President Trump, often in the harshest terms possible. Yet, she continues to appear on national television, lives comfortably, and walks freely with no consequences. Now, imagine trying that in Iran. If you so much as whispered dissent against the regime, you're likely to be dragged out of your home in the dead of night, never to be seen again. Your family would be left searching for answers that never come. Political dissent in Iran isn't a right. It's a death sentence for Whoopi. To equate the freedom she enjoys in the US with the brutal repression in Iran isn't just ignorant. It's an insult to every person suffering under true tyranny. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you loved our frank commentary, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.